Welcome, Abbi Linde, former pharmacist turned health coach. And in this series, we are going to talk to a bunch of amazing people that were once pharmacists. And there is something that I just love so much about the kind of people that become pharmacists. And there's something about pharmacy right now that it's just really tough. And there's a lot of challenges associated with it. And so what I'm seeing is a lot of my colleagues and friends are exploring side projects and passions and pivoting, and in many cases, leaving pharmacy. And so I thought it would be really fun to connect with them, learn about their journey from pharmacy, out of pharmacy, and back for some of them, and just really see what kind of interesting fun we can have with that. So today we're going to flip that a little bit. And my friend, who also happens to be my coach in life, who really helped me kind of work through this transition and figure out what I wanted and all of that mess that we'll talk about today, is here to interview me. So Kristin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
This is super fun. What's it like to have the tables turned? What's it like to be interviewed?
I actually don't mind the interviewing part.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to prepare and plan for it, not my skill set. But now that we have started officially, I feel better.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's jump in then, yeah?
Sounds good.
Okay, so why did you originally become a pharmacist?
So I actually planned to go to med school. I actually was going to go down to University of Miami because my mom lived in Florida and they had in-state tuition. I had this whole plan. I wanted to help people. Science and math were super easy. Then I did a little bit more learning about what it takes to become a physician. And it's like 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of school. And I realized that there wasn't actually a specific thing or a specific specialty or a good reason to go through 12 years of school to be a physician. So I decided not that. I also had gotten a job in a pharmacy actually in high school, just ringing up people and being in a pharmacy. And it was kind of like, this is fine. And I just kept getting jobs in pharmacies doing that. And so when I look back, it was really just kind of like, this is all fine. This will work. I could do this. It's
Okay.
terrible. Looking
How much
back,
school is that? How much is it to become?
Yeah. So undergrad. So I did undergrad in 3 years in Miami. And then pharmacy school to get your doctorate degree is 4 years. So 7. So it's still, it's a lot.
That's still a lot.
But I guess my benchmark of 12 years, it felt a lot, it felt better than that.
How did you get your undergrad a full year early?
Because in high school, I had done a bajillion AP classes.
That's awesome.
I'm good at school.
Yeah.
I think I've told you before, if I could go to school, as a job, as a career, that's what I would do. Yeah.
That's actually interesting, not to get too off track, but I feel like that's part of what you get to do now.
Yeah. The number of classes and courses and things that I want to sign up for is high. I do try to limit it because you actually can't do that for free. You actually have to pay for it.
Right.
Kind of unfortunate, but yes, that I do really enjoy that part of what's happening right now is being able to just pick what I'm excited about and learn about it.
Yeah,
totally.
Okay. So you became a pharmacist. What happened? How long were you a pharmacist?
Yeah.
Kind of how was that?
So I became a pharmacist in 2011. I guess I should maybe be clear. I am technically still a pharmacist.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
licensed. My license is active. I could go into a pharmacy today and work. I don't want to do that, but I could.
Is that something you have to keep up? Like so many?
Yeah. So
Okay.
like a certain amount of CE every 2 years, and then you have to like pay your licensing fee.
Okay.
So pretty easy. So I was a pharmacist like actively for almost 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the community setting. So I worked in like chain pharmacy for 6 or 7 years.
Is that like your like Walgreens, your that type of thing? CVS,
exactly.
whatever.
Yep. So did that for 6 or 7 years. And then I went to like a small, they call it like a regional chain, a little bit more like mom and pop, independent pharmacy, which for a while compared to previous, it was like so much better. Yeah. So compared to what I had been doing for like 6 years, it was amazing. So yeah.
Okay. So there were parts that you liked.
Yeah.
So then what started to shift for you? Like what started to kind of change?
Great question. I would say I started to get really, what's the word? Frustrated. Disillusion is coming to my mind. Like I had started to actually, so what happened was for myself after my first kiddo, I learned that when I eat different foods, I feel different, which I kind of feel stupid saying that because like, of course that is true, but like, I didn't actually know that.
I don't think everybody knows that. I think that is.
Now that I know it, it feels silly that I didn't know it, but
right.
For 30, almost, how old am I? I don't know, whatever, 28 years of my life, I like did not make that connection fully. And so I figured it out for myself. It's like, oh, when I eat this way, I feel better.
So part of what I hear you saying is that in all of that education that you did, that never came. That wasn't part of your education, is that food might actually have an impact on things.
Yes. So you talk about food and lifestyle in pharmacy school, but it's like, diet and lifestyle. So make sure you're doing your diet and lifestyle, patient.
Got it.
Like it's like in your brain knowing things as opposed to like actually understanding and actually being able to like help others or yourself like do quote unquote diet and lifestyle, right?
Oh, that's actually, that's a really good distinction.
So I did a independent study in pharmacy school with the amazing Dr. Beth Martin, actually. You probably don't know who that is, but in Wisconsin, she's a huge deal. Anyways, my independent study with her was around nutrition and motivational interviewing.
Ooh.
Which is hilarious because I feel like I didn't even, I don't know, get like how that was ultimately what I was wanting to do. So in the program, I went and I like met with registered dietitians and they worked at like a senior living facility. And I went and I like watched how they worked and all this stuff. And then separately, I had this motivational interviewing training and practice, but never like in my head did I realize that they kind of like could go together. Like you could use motivational interviewing to help improve nutritional choices or understanding, whatever. They were
Mhm.
like two separate things. So I always think back to that. And I just think it's so funny. Like that was probably the beginning of figuring this all out,
Yeah.
but the pieces had not been put together in my brain at all at that
I
point.
think that makes a lot of sense though, because that's kind of how we learn everything, right? Is in these very narrow verticals, as opposed to bringing things together is just not traditionally how we're taught
Yeah,
things. So yeah,
totally.
I think that makes sense. But it sounds like your subconscious was starting to like work on that a little
I
bit.
guess so. I guess
Mhm.
so. So then I didn't really think about that for a good 6 years.
Mhm.
But then once I had my daughter and switched jobs, I started doing like health coaching training and learning about functional medicine. And
Was that all just on the side? Like, why were you doing all that? Or was that part of your job?
it was on the side because I wasn't fulfilled in any way,
Mm.
shape, or form originally. And I was dispensing these medications and thinking, I wonder if you know, like, there are things you can be doing. I tried really hard to resist against the like, well, you should be changing how you're eating and not taking this pill. Because I
Totally.
really, even though it's hard for me, it is a choice that everyone gets to make for
Yep.
themselves.
Yep.
And it's hard for me not to should because I'm a human. But
Gotcha.
anyways, like I would be dispensing things. I'd be thinking like, I wonder if you know, like that
Mm.
there are options. And I started to get really passionate about making sure that people at least knew that there were other options or
Mm.
things that you could
Mhm.
do in addition, even at that time was my thought. So yeah, I
Um,
just like to go to school. So I started doing that.
that's so interesting. When you think about it now, why was it important to you that people knew there were other options? Like, why not just keep taking the medication?
I was seeing people not get better and
Mm.
get worse.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, and I was also seeing people say, hearing people say to me, like, I just feel terrible. I'm having all these side effects. It's not better. They're going to start me on another one. Um, and, like, I think this is a healthcare general thing and not just a pharmacist thing, but like, when you go into being a healthcare professional, you think that you are helping people.
Mhm.
And whether or not I actually was, like, facts are probably that I did
Mhm.
help people, but it didn't feel like I was helping people. Like I wanted to help people in a different way, I guess.
Mhm.
Um,
Is there anything in there about like being able to impact your own experience? Right? Because when we get medication, we can sometimes just feel like we're kind of just like at the whim of all the things, right? Our doctors, the medication or whatever. We don't necessarily, it's kind of like this question you had of like, do you know? And is there something like empowering about that for you? Knowing that there are things.
yeah, I think it's also like the word informed consent is coming up for me.
Mm.
Like medications, as a pharmacist, I feel like I always have to be like, there is a role for medication, right? They're
Mhm.
super important. They save people's lives.
Yep.
Super important. And there are other things that can replace or support or whatever. And like, I just felt like a need to, like, if people were going to choose medicine, I wanted them to do that from a place of knowing what the options are and what the pros and
Mm.
cons of things are, because otherwise it felt kind of like deceptive. Like, here, just take this pill and everything will be fine. When
Yes.
that's like not true. As far like I know that more than anyone as a pharmacist. Like I know what it all can do, good
Yeah.
and bad. And it just felt not truthful.
Like not the whole picture. Like
Not the
people
whole
weren't being
picture.
offered the whole picture.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's really interesting.
And that didn't feel right. It didn't feel good.
Yeah. Okay. So you were coaching on the side already. So you've actually been a health coach before.
Yeah. So I was doing it like in the context of the pharmacy.
Okay.
So like I had like a pre-diabetes program, and I did some like reset elimination protocol type stuff in the context of the pharmacy, mostly with people who had chronic health conditions and who were on medications, working with them in the pharmacy, or at least like in connection with the pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it was online, but it was like with the pharmacy. So yeah, so I've been like certified as a health coach for the last, I think, 8 years, I think. And doing varying degrees of coaching and programs and working with clients.
Did you feel more in alignment because did you feel like you were getting to do like offer this and or some of this and you get to choose, or you get to start to have more choice in what you're putting in your body, what you're doing, et cetera?
Totally.
Yeah.
I loved all of the non-traditional pharmacy stuff that I was doing. And then like, I think of it as like, I got distracted. Like I was a manager, I was running the pharmacy, like the prescription part of it. And it was busy and it was distracting, and
you had another kid. I mean,
I had another kid, and it's in pharmacy, like you do pharmacy stuff, and that's what the system is set up to support. And so doing this other stuff on the side, it was like, there was not a system in place for that. It was always harder. It always came after the other stuff got done because it was a pharmacy after all. And so it felt harder, like, to do the other stuff. So like when I did it, it was amazing and I loved it and I felt great.
Yeah.
But to actually do it was hard.
Yeah. Sounds like it took a lot of time and energy.
Totally.
And thoughtfulness. Yeah. So then did you start to wonder, could I just do the one part?
So I feel like you're asking, could I just do the coaching part? And actually what happened was I did it the other way first.
Oh.
I was like, that's hard to do this other alternative options. What if I just do this other stuff? I actually got a promotion and was like doing more stuff outside of the pharmacy, but still very in the pharmacy world. We were trying to connect some of the other stuff, but like, rock, square, hole.
Yeah, totally.
So I actually kind of swung the other way and kind of let some of my coaching go. I still had a couple clients, like, but not much. And I kind of swung that way and did that for a couple of years. And then inevitably I was like, I need to swing back the other direction. Because that's not working for me. And yeah. So then
do you want to share any of your like your personal health journey in that way? Like was that informing any of this? Like you're like, okay, I go back and I'm going to try to just do the pharmacy stuff, but yet your own self was like, but I know if I change my eating or I do these different things, like I just know, like, do you know what I'm asking? Like, was there that, like, because it was personally, you were doing one thing and in work, really doing another? When did it become untenable, or why? Is maybe the better question.
I will say that whether it was because of like the kids or the like family or the amount of work, like I was letting a lot of the self-care, the food, the stuff that I was like really good at telling other people to do, letting a lot of that go.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And the reason for that, I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, that was totally happening. And I think actually that was part of what was a motivator to like make some changes, because I'm like, I'm not living how I want to be, how I like know makes me feel better, how also the whole like how I tell other people like I wasn't doing that, which feels yucky. That feels, again, not fully truthful.
Yeah.
And so I think because I wasn't able to, or whatever, do the self-care stuff, the food, the movement, the stuff to take care of me, that was motivation for me. Like, okay, I need to make a change. I'm out of alignment here.
Yeah.
And that probably is what began me starting to think about like, okay, what is it that I want? What is it that would feel in alignment? We talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, so that definitely impacted. I don't know if that was the exact question you asked, but that's what came up there.
It's so interesting to hear this thread of desire to be like in alignment. It sounds like that's been just part of your whole journey. It's like, I want to be sort of inwardly and outwardly congruent.
Yes.
Yeah. There's something of a value there for you.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear. So then as that grew and you really decided to, expand what you were doing, change what you were doing, what was that like? Or what's it like now? However you want to take it.
Well,
was it easy?
no. And I tried to do like baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to, just start doing the self-care activities. I tried to limit the number of hours. Like I don't work at night, or I tried to delegate, and I tried to do some of that stuff to like, I was just going to say, to avoid having to make a big change. Which is funny that that's what just came out.
Very reasonable,
yes,
thing to come up though, right?
Totally. And that wasn't working. And I also during this time owned a pharmacy. Actually, I was a partner in a pharmacy. And so I started with selling that to some very lovely other pharmacy owners. And I thought that was going to be the thing. Like that was off my plate. Now I'm going to be fine. I'm going to have time for all of the stuff so I can feel in alignment, and then I can just keep doing this work over here.
Oh, because then you weren't going to have like actual pharmacy duties anymore.
Right.
You were getting to do.
It was still pharmacy. Like, I was a director. So I was like helping other people do pharmacy things.
Got it.
Which felt better to me than actually dispensing medication. So I thought that was going to be enough of a change that I would be like, great, I'm going to feel so amazing. It's going to be easy. And it's going to be so great. And so that happened, and I didn't feel great and at ease and amazing for a variety of reasons. But I think at that point I had started to think about what it is that I really wanted to be doing, and that just wasn't it anymore. And I'm one of those people that once it takes me a while to get to what I want, but once I know, I can't fake it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't. So yeah.
It's that congruent thing again.
It is.
Once I know something inside, I hear you saying I have to kind of create that outside, or it just doesn't feel
totally
good. Okay. Okay. So what would you say you're doing now?
So now I am doing some consultant work in the pharmacy-ish realm. But I would say like my full-time energy is on health coaching around like willpower and being able to like stick to what it is that you decide you want to do.
Oh,
Relevant in my life, I've had lots of practice like not sticking to things and figuring out how to like create a life where you don't have to like willpower it through everything all the time.
wow. Which I think is really one of the barriers for people, right? Where it's like, sure, I'd love to make all these lifestyle choices, except no, I don't actually want to make any of these lifestyle changes.
Totally.
Which is just so human, right? Like,
totally.
yeah,
Totally.
it's easy to think about making changes.
Yeah. And
Hard
to
to
like
make 'em.
plan it all out and like put it
Yeah,
on the
totally.
calendar. So exciting. But then like actually doing the things.
So, okay. So that's
It's
what you're
hard.
doing now is you're
So
helping
that's what I'm
people
doing.
actually
So
do the things.
totally.
That's awesome.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are you bringing into what you're doing now from your last many years?
So I always think about so one of the things that pharmacists are trained in, really experts in, is supporting adherence to medications. So I kind of think about like adherence to lifestyle changes as kind of a thread that has run through all of it. Like,
can you give an example of that in the pharmacy world?
Okay, so there's a medication called simvastatin, for example. It's for cholesterol and people have to take it every day. Usually people take it in the evening because it can better affect your cholesterol when it's taken in the evening. But alas, nobody can remember to take it in the evening. Also, there are side effects that can occur from any medication, but simvastatin specifically. So so as a pharmacist, someone comes and they say like, oh, I don't need my simvastatin yet. Even though it's been 90 days and I got a prescription for 90, I don't need it yet. Right. So some places they'd be like, oh, okay, fine. As what I would do in that setting is be like, oh, so what's going on? Why is it that you don't need it yet? Oh, well, I forget to take it. I don't actually think it's important. My friend told me that it causes blah, blah, blah. It upsets my stomach. It makes my muscles weak. Like whatever the reason is, that like identifying what is the reason that they're not taking it. And then helping them to overcome that. So maybe it's setting an alarm. Maybe it's taking it at a different time of the day. Maybe it's helping them to understand the pros and cons of it to decide if it's something that they, believe will help them
on board with the thing that's been, oh yeah. Okay. So that's like a really useful skill set for what you're doing now.
Yeah. So which is the same thing that we would do if someone's like, well, I want to eat another vegetable today or whatever. But also you don't really know if it's that great for you. You don't really want to do it. It's a pain in the butt. You forgot to get it from the grocery. Like it's all of the same type of stuff.
Totally.
And also then to add into it, there's also that whole like guilt about having to take the medicine or not remembering to take the medicine. Same with like lifestyle, like I should make the lifestyle choice, but I suck at making the lifestyle changes and that whole situation. So there's a lot of overlap there.
Okay. So a lot of what you've done has really informed your current skill set.
I think so.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you love about what you're doing now? Well, let me ask you this first. Is there anything you miss?
I would say the only thing that I miss right now, and it's still relatively new, I feel like I may look back fondly at some point more so. But right now, the thing that I miss is very clear tasks, very clear metrics of success for the day. Like you come to the pharmacy, there are prescriptions to fill, you fill the prescriptions, you help the patience. If you get that all done in a day, you win. Like,
You can pat yourself on the back. You can
Yes.
leave work at work.
Yes.
You can close the door. Yeah.
Very clear expectations.
Mm.
And I do love clarity. And so that is one thing that I miss a bit, because having my own business, not a lot of those clear expectations, jobs, roles, all of that. Like I decide all of those things, which is both great and terrible at the same time.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, why put yourself in that uncomfortable position, right? Why are you loving what you're doing right now? Why is it all worth it?
I finally felt like I was getting close, at least, to like having that alignment between what I believe, what I want, what I'm doing. When I see people, like light bulbs flick on, or like stick to, like someone I've been working with has been trying to walk every day. We're like 3 weeks in, and she's walking every day, and not from like me being like, hey, did you walk today? like hounding her, right? But from this place of like, I kind of want to walk every day. And it just feels so good to like see that. And it's just really exciting.
So what are some of your philosophies as a health coach? You kind of just started saying some of them.
Yeah. So big one is if you're trying to make changes, if you feel restricted, if you're shaming or shooting the crap out of yourself, if you're white knuckling it, like white knuckle willpower is what I call it. Those don't work. Those don't work. One that I stole from you is you need to find a reason to do those things that you like.
Yeah. So why is that? Like, why do you think that makes it easier for people? I mean, I think most of us still think that just telling ourselves we should do something is the way to do it.
Totally.
So what I hear you saying is you really do see people doing things differently when they can access a different reason for doing it. And that's hard to do on their own because they don't even know necessarily.
Totally. So for an example, so I have created this like container, the Willpower solution. And the whole idea behind it is to like create circumstances in your life that allow you to make easier, quote unquote, healthy choices, the choices you want to make, without depending on willpower, without having to like force yourself to do stuff. Like, how can you either make it fun or slow things down, understand why, like root causes of why things are happening. And I think that's why people are having success. I know a lot of things that don't work because I tried them all too. I think I've worked through a lot of them with you personally. And so I think people are having success because we're like actually considering like the real life circumstances and like letting people be human. You know?
Yeah. The other thing I heard you say, you said healthy, quote unquote. Can you say more about that?
Yes. So a lot of times I tend to use that word healthy because everyone wants to be healthier. And generally I agree, like, you know, it's a good idea to be healthier. And what is healthy for one person is not healthy for another person. And even if something is, I was going to say quote unquote healthy again, even if something is like nutritious for your body, if you're like shaming the crap out of yourself for not eating it, or you're whatever, you're stressing out so much about it that you're throwing off your whole adrenal system, like it ends up not actually being healthy. So it's just, there's also a big like shame piece with healthy, like this is healthy and this is not healthy. It's just, really the truth is it's all gray area.
Right. And so I hear a lot of mindset stuff too. So it's like you're helping people with the nuts and bolts and you're helping them with mindset stuff because you really can't do one without the other.
Totally.
And people don't even necessarily know they need help with all of it when they're just trying to do things and it's not working and they're da 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 da. And it's just like, I just have to be mean to myself. And yeah, that's totally.
Just
that's
have
cool.
to try harder.
I just have to try harder. I just have to. I just need to. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to say about your program?
I think the only other thing I'd like to say is I have created a bunch of like tools and freebies. One of them is my favorite. That is dissolving cravings with ease. People, you want me to send it over?
I'm like, can I get that?
Like having cravings isn't actually a problem. Yes. And so there's a way to deal with
that's
it.
radical.
Yeah. So there's a way to deal with them in a loving, non-shaming, successful way. So I have that as a freebie. So of course we'll share links to all the things in wherever this is shared. And I have a free Facebook group where we talk about all the kinds of stuff that I was talking about today. So I'll link to that as well. So
that's cool. What can people expect in your group?
So it's called No Willpower, No Problem.
Love it.
Me too, secretly. So I talk about, I just did a video about shaming the shit out of yourself doesn't work. So a lot of kind of highlighting all the things that we think work, just trying harder, white knuckling it, giving up sugar again for the 79th time, like recommitting on Monday, like all of those things.
Yeah.
Kind of highlighting all the things that we think work, but that don't actually work. And then what does work. So we do a lot of talking about that in the group.
Okay. So people can go in there and really actually like interact with you, not just see your stuff, but like really kind of.
Oh yeah. I'm in there.
That's really cool.
Every day. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Is there anything else you want us to know about you in this journey?
The only other thing I want to say is I'm just like so very grateful that you would come on here and interview me today. There honestly isn't anyone else that I would want to interview me. I'm secretly hoping that we have a future podcast that we both co-host. So maybe
it's not out of the question by any stretch.
Fingers crossed. Okay.
Yeah.
Just thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me do it. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
So in this episode, you heard me talk about cravings and willpower. And so what I want to offer to you is a guide that I created that helps you to dissolve those cravings without all the restricting and the battling and the fighting, maybe with ease. And it's free. It's a freebie for anyone who would like it. So make sure to grab the link for that. The other thing I just wanted to highlight is I would never have been able to make this big of a transition out of pharmacy into health coaching, my own being an entrepreneur, if it wasn't for the confidence that I gained working with Kristin. Kristin is an Enneagram 6 coach. I'm an Enneagram 6. And she has a free resource that she offers around cultivating confidence for Enneagram 6s. So if that is something that you need to make some decisions in your life, make sure to grab that at her link. Have a great day.